Hi there, I'm Jon David, author of the book The Savage Peak, the first in the Morgalla Chronicles. I'll be reading a little excerpt from one of the chapters early on. Morgalla looked up to Delilah, who had found a seat in the front row. "What the hell is going on?" Morgalla demanded. "A matter of honor, child, for your own good." "My own good? He's looking to kill me, and this is for my own good?" Makraka's last son, Harik. "He has yet to get his first kill, too. And what if he kills me? I've taught you too well, but you must not hesitate." Morgalla glanced over her shoulder. She saw Harik, a young demon, embrace a young woman and kiss her. "That is Zia, his betrothed," Delilah said. "It is she who he is fighting for, his source of strength. You must find your own source as well. It will keep you alive." "Yeah, the fact that I don't want to die." Morgalla sensed the coming attack and ducked. Harik's blade swung where her head had just been an instant earlier. She rolled and was on her feet immediately. Hero emerged and was in her clenched fist. Her opponent attacked, kicking some gravel at her. For a moment she was blinded. He came at her, slashing. Morgalla used every bit of skill she had to dodge and block his attacks. Metal clashed against metal, and the small audience looked on with great interest. Sparring with Delilah was very different than this. She could feel the intensity and kill emanating from Harik's soul. Her heart raced, and her breath came quickly. His attacks were strong, and she felt the impact of his blade and send shocks up her arm. Morgalla wanted to scream as he hacked and slashed away at her. He finally disarmed her. Hero changed back to a medallion and was lost among the gravel. The audience laughed, all except Delilah. Morgalla rolled again, barely avoiding a slashing sword. She saw for a moment a look of disappointment on Delilah's face. Makraka stood at the top with his arms crossed, a permanent frown on his face. The light gleamed from her medallion, and Morgalla could see where Hero had landed. He was behind Harik. "You don't want to do this any more than I do," Morgalla said. "It is a matter of honor. You will not convince me otherwise." He swung his blade, and Morgalla ducked. She connected with a hit to the young demon's face. She kicked the weapon from his hand and leaped, her legs scissoring his neck. They both came down to the gravel, and Morgalla could feel the joy springing forth from Delilah's soul. "So, you're going to fight for the entertainment of others?" Morgalla asked him. Harik struggled to speak. "It's not amusement, but honor. That word again. Don't be an idiot." Harik sank his teeth into her calf, and she cried out. She had no choice but to release him with a swift kick to his face, bloodying his nose. They were both on their feet, and Morgalla saw her medallion. She dove, and Hero was unsheathed in an instant, ready for action. When she turned, she noticed her foe was defenseless. His weapon was on the ground, and Morgalla stood between him and his only hope of victory. She could easily feel the fear from his soul, and they stood frozen, looking at each other. Delilah's hands clenched, her eyes intense to the student. "Do it. Do it. We can walk away from this," Morgalla said. "You're not serious," he said. Morgalla felt the shock of the majority of the audience because she hadn't killed him, but that there was one who was terrified. She could only see for a brief moment Zia in the audience, the same age as Harik. Harik took a step back, and Morgalla matched him. "Walk away," Delilah said. Harik sneered and spat a mouthful of blood to the ground. "Disgusting." The audience echoed audible sounds of disapproval. Morgalla didn't care, but Harik charged at her. With his neck and chest wide open, she could have killed him then and there, but she didn't. He attacked her, striking and forcing his way past. Morgalla fell back, and Harik had it armed again. Delilah was angry. Their swords clashed again, and Morgalla quickly had to find a way to fight him. This battle was different than any time before. He was stronger than her and very quick. Letting his blade strike hers was a waste of energy. She had discovered that dodging his attacks was far better, but even then she would soon grow tired. He roared with each slash and found nothing but air. Their skills showed years of dedicated training, but Harik's dueling included more anger. Morgalla was scared. Surely they all felt it, but with her will to survive was strong. She flinched at a punch to her midsection, but knew it was only a ruse. Blocking his real attack, the sword came to her neck, and he punched her face. Falling back again, she felt the wall behind her. He lunged but missed. Morgalla had used this momentum to bring his face to the stone. There was a crack, and Harrick's nose was broken. His back opened to attack. She could finish, but didn't. She stalked to the middle of the arena, wiping sweat from her brow. Harrick held his nose. Blood flowed down to his mouth and chin. Morgalla made eye contact with Zia in the audience. The fear was written on her face, and her eyes locked on Herrick. The girl then looked at Morgalla, and her expression changed to anger. I don't want to kill you, Morgalla said to Harrick, her voice almost desperate. The audience, Delilah included, responded with disgust. But I want to kill you, Harrick roared and charged at her. With his anger as a weapon to Morgalla, the fight didn't last much longer, and soon she disarmed him. She held the tip of her sword to his neck. Harrick was terrified. He fell to his knees. Morgalla breathed the fire from her lungs, her eyes intense and showing the anger she now had for him. Delilah was overjoyed and she clapped. Morgalla disappointed her teacher and lowered her weapon. She turned her back and walked away. Harrick looked up at his father, who sneered and turned his own back, walking to the exit. Young demon called out, Father! Macraca ignored him. Morgalla hung her head, a myriad of emotions running through her. Only one emotion came to Delilah, and that was annoyance, and her expression clearly showed. The solitary emotion from Harrick was rage. He found his sword again and came at Morgalla. She could feel his attack coming from a mile away and held her breath. Please, please don't. He roared and slashed at his foe. Harrick found nothing but air as Morgalla ducked, and spun around. It was pure instinct, a will to survive that drove her to impale the tip of her blade into his chest. The expression of shock was frozen on both of their faces. Morgalla's jaw hung open. What have I done? The young male lost all power in his body as it went cold. His blade fell from his useless fingers and hit the ground with a clang. He fought for breath, but his lungs froze. Harrick's eyes connected with hers for only a moment. Morgalla could only manage a whisper. I'm sorry. Harrick dropped away from Morgalla's blade. His limp form crashed to the gravel and in an instant changed to dust. Everyone was silent. Delilah was on her feet immediately. She turned to Macraca, who was still making his way to the exit. A scream cut through the silence as Morgalla looked to the stands. She saw the young Zia in a state of grief. The other demons held her back. The pain and her rage burned Morgalla's soul. She could only stand there, the tip of her blade stained black with Harrick's blood. All the other demons groaned in disappointment. Many of them got up and left in a huff. The young female, however, jumped down into the arena, screaming at Morgalla. The other demons joined her, weapons drawn. Morgalla held Hero up, ready to defend herself from the oncoming onslaught. Delilah stood in front of her protege, though Morgalla was surprised to see she had no weapons unsheathed. All Delilah had to do was point to the symbol of her master. She looked at the demons before her with her eyes intense. Zia had to be held back by her allies, and as she screamed and raged, Delilah looked at Morgalla. Let's go. Morgalla didn't argue with her mistress, who took her by the arm and led her to the exit. Morgalla sucked back the tears building from her broken heart. Surely Delilah could sense them too, her clawed hand gripping Morgalla by the arm and pulling her away. There was also anger, something Delilah was proud to sense. When they were alone, Morgalla fought away from her grip. Don't touch me! What's your problem? My problem? You put me in a death match, that's my problem. Delilah huffed. For your own good. How was that for my own good? Do you know how many enemies I just made? They know you can and will kill to defend yourself. I just gave you teeth. Whether you know it or not, child, but I just gave you the greatest weapon to defend yourself. What's that? A reputation. You really think anyone will mess with you now that you have killed? Morgalla yelled. That's all shit. You did this for your own ego. You are ashamed of having me with no kill. Delilah grabbed Morgalla's arm and pushed her against the wall. Listen to me, child. Welcome to hell. Here, you kill or you will be killed. Morgalla slapped her away in Delilah's clawed hand. She screamed, I wish you never brought me here. Delilah sneered at her. Why he wanted you away from hell, I'll never know. This only made you weak. It's weak to value life. Harrick wanted you dead, and you know it. And now his father and the entire family will want me dead. Delilah smiled. Relax. I've killed others in a similar way, and they never held a grudge. It's the way of things. For years, it's better to die with a weapon in your hand than to live as a coward. Today you showed fear and compassion. Don't ever do that again.
Demons and battles. I picture a big world that you're creating out there. We are speaking with Jon David, author. You're tuned into the second annual Authors Fair hosted by the Rochester Hills Public Library and Rochester Writers. For Rochester Writers, my name is Michael Dwyer. Jon, tell us about the reading you just read. It's somewhere in the midst of your book. Whereabouts does it fall?
I would say if it was a movie, it would fall in the first act. That was chapter 5. And Morgalla had spent most of her life away from hell with her mentor Delilah, who's part dragon, by the way. So anyone who's a fan of dragons, so Delilah's part demon, part dragon. But anyway, Delilah has spent away on living in a forest among monks, and she taught her how to fight. She taught her all these things. But the one thing that Morgalla didn't know was about her own kind, her own people. So therefore, she's an alien in a place where she shouldn't be an alien. And it's kind of like coming of age, lose a loss of innocence type deal. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of the story that I've written.
So I imagine that the many of the chapters that fall before this are kind of set up and backstory and giving you some information about the characters. And I'm trying to get the Morgalla. I'm looking over at my other screen. Is the main character, and this is of course the 4 books that you 3 more to write. Is the main character and the driving force throughout all of them?
Yeah, you see it through her eyes.
So we can.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna. So we know that she lives. I'm guessing into book 2 and 3 and 4, but it sounds like she's going to have quite many challenges along the way.
Oh yeah. In hell, it's killer. It's a kill or be killed environment. Certainly Darwin-esque. Survival of the fittest type deal. But it's a place where you must know how to fight. And Delilah prepared her. She gave her the skills, but the one thing that she didn't, that only experience would teach her was how to be tough, how to deal with it, how to live in this environment. And Delilah grew up in it, so she's completely aware of it. And one of the concerns that she had was that Morgalla was going to end up being soft, and she kind of is. She's got the skill, but she has absolutely no bloodlust whatsoever. Oh, what am I going to do with this girl?
So you mentioned they're in hell. Literally?
Literally. Now, my version of hell is a little bit different. I know everybody thinks it's a place where bad people go and they die. No, not really. I consider hell kind of like Mordor. So Lord of the Rings was a huge influence. Imagine Mordor, but maybe perhaps a little more civilized. When you take a look at Mordor and orcs and goblins and all those creatures that live there, they're basically living in caves and whatnot, to where hell actually does have a bit of a civilization, even though it's pretty chaotic. They really don't have any laws, and they really have only one rule: is kill or be killed. Only the strong survive, and you need allies. You need to know how to fight, and you need to know how to protect yourself.
So are they isolated from the real world, where the world that we're from?
Yes, absolutely. Basically, hell is like a nexus of all these different worlds together, and so they journey to different worlds, and they've conquered some. They're in the process of conquering others. And I only briefly mention Earth. That Earth is just one of many places that they're trying the places that they want to conquer. And okay. I don't want to spoil as to why. Why aren't we on Earth? Why isn't Earth mentioned at all, or why isn't Earth involved with at all in this book? Well, I really don't want to spoil it. To say so would spoil the other 3.
Well, in many of our common religions, hell is is a place, as you said, that where you die, you go there. But it's also filled with demons, and those demons, in some beliefs, can influence us on Earth and maybe change us to do bad things. Is that similar to some of the things that these demons can do?
Yes, the one thing that all demons naturally have is the ability basically they're empathic. They're completely empathic. They know precisely what you're feeling, not what you're thinking. You know, you think Counselor Troy on Star Trek. You know, that sort of deal. She can't read minds, but she can tell emotions, and demons can definitely do that. They can feel people's fear. They can feel, they can feel love or hate or whatever. But one talent, the ability that they do have that's very deadly is the ability to influence the souls of others. And basically, the really strong demons can turn a complete saint into a sinner, and vice versa, if they chose to. Someone like Morgalla, who is completely innocent, probably would never be able to. She's definitely not that powerful, but definitely influence someone, someone's conscience, in the sense that she can easily, somebody is doing something bad and they know that it's bad. She can convince them, this is bad, you shouldn't be doing this. Or, demons often use hate as an engine. They use hate, to fuel people's emotions, and just say, yeah, go ahead, do that. Yeah, go ahead, kill and whatnot. And they just like doing that and that sort of deal. But demons can also influence other demons too. So there's that.
And so, are all demons bad, or are there really good ones?
Their civilization, they're xenophobic, and because they see other lesser species, they would consider human beings as a lesser species. We're weak. I mean, demons can heal from any injury. They get stronger as they grow older, and they would see us. They would almost pity us. These weakling humans. They get weak as they get older. They lose a limb. It doesn't grow back. Uh, they would not, at best, they would pity us and see human beings as almost pets, but they sure as heck would not see us as equals. They just look down at all creatures. Demons are actually very bigoted in that regards to other alien species. They're like the strongest of all alien species, so of course that's going to increase someone's ego, and the entire culture is based around that. That, yep, we're the strongest, we should be in charge, and don't you dare mess with us.
They sound a lot like politicians.
Maybe a little. Maybe a little. I mean, how often politicians and hell kind of coincide here?
Well, you mentioned Lord of the Rings and some influences there.
Mhm.
What other research or worlds out there, or even religions, did you tap into to try to create your own version of your world building?
I was never really. I've never been very religious. I haven't stepped into a church since I was 15 years old, I think. But I was raised briefly Lutheran. So if I was belonged to any kind of religion, it would be one of the Christian religions. But I actually don't use that as an influence at all. I just decided to treat demons like aliens. This is, if they were to invade another world, it's an alien invasion story, except they don't have spaceships, they don't have death rays, and the primary reason why they're a titanic threat is the fact that they are stronger and faster and more experienced, more deadly, and also the whole influencing of the soul. I mean, they can make you, if you show the slightest bit of fear, they can feed on that and just make you absolutely terrified. So
It's quite an interesting story that you are starting. How far along in book two are you?
all books are done.
All the
I
books are
personally,
done. Okay.
I personally have written all the books, and they have been. I used to be self-published actually, and it used to be just three. The other three, the trilogy of Morgalla, when I was self-published, but BHC Press located also here in Michigan, said, they've agreed to publish all 4 books, and I told them that. I says, well, I have a prequel as well, which, okay, yeah, we'll publish all 4. There we go. So the Savage Peak was actually going to be called the Morgalla prequel to the trilogy of Morgalla, but they just said, no, we'll just consider it all. It's just 4. Just consider it 4. Okay, cool. Hey, there we go. Yeah, I wrote this. I just thought, wouldn't it be interesting to see Morgalla as a youngster in her late teens, and she's facing all these terrible and horrific things, but also some good things too, all for the first time.
Okay, so is it just this book here that's on bookshelves right now?
Correct. Part
Okay.
2. Part 2 hopefully should be coming out in 2022. COVID has kind of messed up with everyone's lives, including publishers, to which it kind of pushed everything back, unfortunately. But hey, they're all 4 going to be published, and I'm incredibly proud of that.
That's fantastic, and that's really a success story for a independent author who has self-published.
Mhm.
You've proven yourself. You found a publisher that will take those. Now, I'm curious, did you have to pull the self-published books off the market so that these are kind of being released under their name, under a new branding, so to speak?
Yes. So I had to do that, making a couple of changes here and there, but pretty much it's the exact same thing. But yeah,
That's wonderful. That's great news, and I think that's very encouraging to self-published authors out there. Is that this is a possibility. You can still be picked up, and we tell people that it is a possibility. And just because you're self-published does not mean you cannot be traditionally published at a later date. We have
yeah,
both platforms.
or that you're self-published, you can't be successful that way too. I know of a couple of authors that self-publish and do well. Um, and it's almost like a double-edged sword, self-publishing, to which, thanks to the internet, any author can put their work out there. Literally any author. The downside being possibly oversaturation. How do you get your work to stand out when you have all these other books and writers out there? How do you stand out among all those?
Right,
Challenge.
right. Well, I'm looking forward to picking up the first book, and I'll be with you there on the bookshelves in when book 2 comes out. I
Oh,
think
thank
it's
you.
going to be a great story for readers and fans of mythology and fantasy, and the world building and the creation, and fans of Lord of the Rings will, I think, definitely find an interest in this. Um, could you mention a place for everyone to go to find out more about you and Morgalla and the series, and where to buy your books?
Yeah, I'm on all the major social media, Facebook, Jon David, the author, all one word. Or you just do hashtag Morgalla, and you can find it Morgalla. Also on Twitter and Instagram. There's that. There's the BHC Press website. They've just started a new sale for the holidays. Not just my title, but also a whole boatload of other titles that I'm sure people will love. So you can check them out too. So they just started a holiday sale. So that's awesome too.
Well, great. Thank you so much, author Jon David, for joining us for the second annual author fair. And we'll have another author coming up in just a moment.